Harris changed his camera.
We are live. Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV movie channel. And we have many guests. We're surrounded by guests. We have Aaron. Hello, sir. I'm chilling in the basement. I was on your channel last week, and now it's your turn. Yes, we have Matthew, who's our little sidetrack buddy, and we have young Harris, the baby of the bunch, also an American. Don't know what we're doing. Why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? And we're welcome to Live Sunday. Say hello, everybody. How you all doing?
All good. All
howdy.
Hello there.
Hello. Before we get started, first of all, we have to do our branding thing. We'll have to do the little intro. So it is.
Okay, I still love that intro, but I thought it was going to be the Stargate one. I was really excited for a second.
No, it's we're going to. And now, before we get into anything else, before we start talking about Mandalorian today, we do have Stargate news.
Yeah.
Exciting. Look, I'm in my own little studio, the desk and everything. But anyway, the big news. I've got a video coming out on Tuesday which is going to have a lot more detail on this. But basically the news is we are going to be getting a movie and a TV series. These have already been basically greenlit and they will be announced in mid-June. This is going to be basically a negotiation. Michael Wright, who is the head of MGM Plus currently, was dead set against an initial movie. He has now agreed that a movie is the best way to go. And we're going to be getting that as long with the TV series. I can also confirm that they are currently looking for a director, and I've already spoken to a couple of people. And if that's not enough, we're also going to be getting, we've also heard that there is an initial script that's been completed by Mark Fergus, and that is currently back with MGM to be having a look at. So we have a script. They're looking for a director, and they're going to be announcing the movie and the series very, very soon. Did somebody carry on with their own thing with the because you weren't muted?
Maybe.
Distracted, to say the least. But anyway, guys, so that's the big news. We're going to be doing it every week, hopefully, when we've got something to say. But that's the big news. It does look like mid-June when we hit this. I think it's the San Diego Comic-Con. They're going to be announcing not just a movie but a TV series. Matt, what's your initial reaction to that news?
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
How about you, Aaron? What do you think? Before I go to the that's all you get. You use a swear word. You're not allowed to say anything else. Aaron, what do you think, sir? First start.
Sorry. I thought you said Harris. My apologies. We rhyme.
It does. Aaron is one of those names I never thought would confuse me, but it legit does sometimes. It is funny.
Yeah. But no, that's that. I mean, I personally would prefer a series first, but that is fantastic news. I'm very excited for an official announcement coming. Like stoked. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt today because the title. But I've been waiting for Gate forever, just like you guys. So yeah. I am very much here for it. And as they say, where I'm from in Metro Detroit, hell yeah.
How about you, Harris? What you thinking?
Yay! I'm pumped. I'm a Star Wars guy like nobody's business. So I'm on a Star Wars mindset. But the one thing that's taken me out of a Star Wars mindset recently, of course, is I'm still watching Stargate Atlantis, still mid-season 4, but I'm playing Jedi Survivor right now. And old Braytac himself is like the master's master. He's completely one of the parts of both those games, and it makes me so fucking happy. Sorry, I use my curse word, but I try to go a little ladder with it. But no, I'm ecstatic for it. Like Aaron said, I'd probably prefer a series first, but I'm not opposed to a movie at all. We've gone through all the different scenarios, and I really think a movie is just as applicable and potentially better in the sense of getting new viewers on board. It does put us in a precarious position of it's got to be good. It's got to be good. But if more people come and it is good, it's a win-win, you know?
So I think this idea that, because from what I've been told, Matt Wright and certain other people at MGM, this was focused mainly at MGM, really were pushing hard for a series. And Jennifer Salke, the head of MGM Pictures now and Amazon Pictures, basically listened to what they were saying. And I think maybe even they heard us, not specifically us, but maybe even they had the same thinking that if the movie doesn't do great, what's going to happen to the series? So they've just sort of gone, well, let's just do both. I've got a video that's going to be on patreon.com/sidetrack immediately after this, and it'll go live on YouTube on Tuesday. It's talking a bit more detail about that. But to me, a lot of the risk is gone. If they're going to do both, what's it matter? It's just the movie is just a 2-hour advert for the series.
I did have a question about it. So you said Mark Fergus has written the script. Is that for the movie or the TV show? Do we know?
I'm hearing the movie script has been. They've got a very early version of the movie script. I actually did say
that excites me that Fergus is involved.
Yes,
I've actually said that wrong. Sorry, because I've wrote Mark Fergus's name underneath it and then put a question mark, and I've read it wrong when I was doing it. Sorry, that's not what I was told. We don't know if Mark Fergus wrote it or not.
Right. Okay.
So that's the problem. So the script has come through, and the guy actually said to me specifically that I was speaking to actually said, we don't know who wrote it. And that's a bit concerning. Okay. Because the whole Penguin and a Parker thing seems to have gone a bit quiet. But I've got a couple of other people I need to speak to that I haven't got through to yet. That hopefully will give us a bit more
very,
information.
very quick, however it's come about. Maybe it's a script they already had.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Did they just use the Brad script in that case? Because that's the only thing they like legit just have on hand.
Yeah.
Or at least 3/4 of the Brad script, parts of the Brad script, the concept,
they can Frankenstein a script to hell. They can just take bits and bobs from whichever ones they've already got. The speed at which I wasn't expecting a script to have been done already.
And
so
initial
hearing that
is about 40 pages. I think a good writer if they knew what they were going for. But the good thing is Mark Fergus has had this. If it's Mark Fergus that's wrote it, he's had this bouncing around in his head for 9 months, nearly. So it's been, but I'm told it's an early first draft of something. So I don't think the timing is a major issue. And it's from what I'm told about Mark Fergus is the man is a workaholic. He apparently works to he just writes constantly. So it doesn't really surprise me that it's been done if he's done it. So
exciting.
Yeah. So looking for a director. I think if they're looking for a director, these plans are relatively far along as well. I haven't got any names yet, but I'll hopefully get some names as soon as I try. But it's interesting. Let's see what happens. But
good news, though.
At least we're getting movement.
Yeah. It feels like things are solidifying slightly. We're getting noise that makes sense and it's consistent. The rumors are getting more consistent. We're not getting variations of things going on, which we've got before. Like Star Trek at the moment, the rumors are all over the bloody place. There's like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And with Stargate at the moment, it seems it's consistent. It's like it's all going in one direction. So, and then it'll all bloody change.
If we get the highlights from this, we've got the Stargate movie coming first, TV series to follow, an announcement by, did you say June or July?
June, but I then said July because I'm an idiot because I forgot.
June /July.
Yeah, I will prepare for that news segment a little bit better next time. I threw myself. I could hear you guys and it threw me.
I'm preparing for making the TikTok version of this announcement. So,
okay, good man. Okay, so yeah, but that's where we're looking at. So it'll be San Diego Comic Con. So just double check the date, but I'm pretty sure it's mid-June.
There is one little thing going on though, and this was like the main subject of my stream last night, is that we're going to have no writers come Tuesday.
Very possibly.
It's almost guaranteed from what I've been seeing. So
yeah, I think it's most likely we're getting a writer's strike. And it is true that, I've got a couple of videos coming this week that I've already recorded talking about the writer's strike.
Nice.
The main reason why this hasn't been announced yet is because of the writer's strike. The main reason Babylon 5 hasn't been announced is the writer's strike. And yeah, all the studios are focusing on getting everything done. Anything that's even in early pre-production, get the fucking scripts done. Just get them done, so that we can carry on filming if the strike happens. So we're not just shutting down. So, it's like that's a big problem at the moment. But we'll know Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I still think it's a 50-50 chance. I really don't think it's going to end up happening. Just from being out in like Los Angeles and just seeing people and stuff. I people want to get paid, even though if they can't agree what they want to be paid immediately, they want to get paid nonetheless. And a strike does not get them paid. So I think it's still kind of 50-50. Hopefully not. I'm being optimistic here.
Harris, what do you think about this idea that it was potentially... actually, I don't think I've released the video yet. Okay, and a video that's going to be released the next day or two, I talk about an idea that I was told by a guy that's is a writer. And there's a genuine belief that they think the Writers Guild believe that actually the alliance of producers, etc., want the strike to happen, because a lot of the studios want to cancel projects, but they want to do it without looking stupid. So they can, if they can do it and blame the writers, all the better, and that they want to squeeze the deal as much as possible to save money. Is that to me seems cut your nose off to spite your face sort of planning. Do you think that's even remotely likely?
I mean, there's always studio politics happening in the background, and like, what are we looking at with Disney cutting down even the two biggest IPs in the world right now, Star Wars and Marvel? They're cutting those down significantly. All these other studios are. Warner Brothers has become much more specific with what they greenlight, thankfully, for their Max prescription or subscription, not prescription, of course. But it's like yes and no. I'm leaning heavily towards both, as in it's happening, but I don't know if it's like that. That's not like the primary reason. That's definitely a reason for the writers to be like, yeah, okay, don't use us as a scapegoat. But at the same time, people want a paycheck, so we'll see what the vote happens on Tuesday.
What do you think?
The strike's already been approved with like a 98% vote.
Oh,
there's already footage out there of them putting their signs together, and one of the things that I think is on the writer side is they're very worried about AI. That's one of their things. They want to make sure if a story they come up with gets fed into an AI, they still get their money for coming up with the story in the first place. And right now there's nothing really in place for that for them. So
they came up with a really great thing though for it, right? The Writers Guild.
Yeah, one of their proposals I think is really good for it. But actually, one of the really fun rumors, and to give credit due, a lot of what I covered last night, what I'm going to talk about right now, came from the Hot Mic podcast with John Roca and Jeff Snyder. But one of the very more rumory, let me be clear, rumory things is that on the producer side, Netflix is the one holding things up.
Okay. Well, they spend a crap load of money, so I think that's just
they don't want to be clear. They don't want to be clear about A, where that money goes, and B, their actual streaming numbers. Like the guild wants a lot more transparency when it comes to that, basically, so they can make sure they're getting paid fully for their work.
Yeah,
and allegedly that's one of Netflix's main sticking points.
Netflix are really famous for trying to protect the numbers as much as possible. They do not like releasing that sort of data, do they, at all? So, what do you think, Matt? It's all a bit crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of strikes that are going on now, just around the world. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if it goes ahead. Like, I work in education. Like, there's strikes every other week now. We had one last Thursday. We got another one Tuesday. So, I mean, yeah, it's going. I reckon it's going to happen. But yeah, hopefully the scripts and stuff that we want to come out will have been done before that, and we can still get what we want. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Essentially.
Yeah, we don't need any more delays. Right. Anyway, we are here to talk about Star Wars, and specifically the Mandalorian season 3. So I've got a list of things that I didn't really like during Mandalorian season 3. I think it's fair to say. Hey, little Grogu, little stone. The first thing on my list that I actually really disliked about the Mandalorian series, but we'll get into the overall feeling of the series, was Robo Grogu.
I love Grogu.
I hated that.
I liked it. I really liked it.
I thought it was fun.
I didn't like it at first, and it grew on me very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
That's when it grew on me.
For me, it looked like it was going to become quite annoying with the, no, yes, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't really going to serve much of a purpose. And then he saves, like, Mando, essentially. And I was like, oh, okay, they've made Grogu actually useful now. So
yeah, he was sidelined the whole season for the most part.
Yeah.
I loved Iron Grogu, especially that viral clip of the Anzellan, which was great. Yeah, Chris Pratt, sorry, buddy, you're not the first one in a big Disney IP to be dropping an F-bomb.
Marva didn't get it, but the Anzellan did.
Exactly. The Anzellan dropped it. No, Scooby! I'm out, motherfucker!
I was watching Robo Grogu the whole time, and I was just thinking, Krang from fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's all. I just thought it was so stupid. But what did you guys generally think of the season, particularly compared to seasons 1 and 2? Matt, what's your first instinct, mate? We'll start with you.
There were elements of it that were boring.
Oh, okay.
I would say boring. Like there were episodes that just didn't need to happen. If they weren't in the series, or you could essentially miss them, and the story would still make sense. Overall, I quite enjoyed it. Having Moff Gideon come back, great. I love that character. I can't remember the guy's name, but essentially Gus Fring, whoever he is, I love that guy. So him coming back, great. I'm expecting him to come back in season 4, even though he's probably not. But he will. Yeah. I mean, it was all right. It's not. I preferred season 2. Season 1 was all right because I watched. I completely skipped out season 1 when it first came out, so I watched season 1 and 2 at the same time, and I really like season 2. I don't think season 3 is as strong as season 2, at least for me, but it was still enjoyable.
Fair enough. I thought it was crap. Aaron, what did you think overall? What do you think, particularly like compared to 1 and 2?
Oh no! Sorry, can I say one more thing?
Oh, sorry,
Jack Black, fucking Jack Black, being Jack Black next to fucking Lizzo.
Yeah, that was quite.
Oh, that was amazing.
I quite liked that. I didn't know why they did that though. Why did they drop Jack Black in that episode and Christopher Lloyd?
I don't know. Oh yeah, Christopher Lloyd. Oh my god!
It was overrun of cameos for me. I was like, oh, why did you do it both in the same episode? It was cool. I love Jack Black's ace and everything, but it was cool. But anyway, Aaron, what did you think?
Compared to seasons 1, this is the weakest season of the 3, easily the weakest. Season 1 was really, really good. Season 2 was epic, and this season was just. It started off all right. I enjoyed the first couple episodes like a lot. And then there was the whole, okay, here's what happened to Pershing in the middle of actual story episode. And then a couple more fillers, including the Jack Black and Lizzo episode, which, while cute, was a complete freaking waste of time. That episode, for me, like the last 10 minutes was the only thing that actually made sense in that whole episode. So overall, I would give this season probably like a 7.
To be honest, that's average is 6, generally speaking. So 7's okay. I'd give it a 3. How about you, House? What did you think? I don't like Star Wars.
It's my least favorite season.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Of course you did.
That being said, it's my Star Wars loving heart that loved it. I've watched all the Clone Wars. I've watched Tales of the Jedi. I've watched Rebels, and I've watched all of them half a dozen times because they came out in my childhood, and I've grown alongside them, and yada yada. So I got Star Wars down mentally, So that part of the season was amazing for me. The Star Wars concepts coming to live action, a lot of the things that I've been wanting to see since I was 9, 10 years old on the big, not the big screen, but a big enough screen.
That was only like 2 years ago, Harris. So what are you on about?
What?
That was like 2021.
Something like that. You know.
I'm only jealous because you're going to grow a better beard than I can. So, but yeah, go on, sorry.
But objectively speaking, it's not quality television in the same sense that the first 2 seasons were. And that being said, I'm being objective with the first 2 seasons. I adore those. And it's got like, I would say season 1 and 2 are both like 8.5, 9 out of 10s for me. But they're really freaking simple. And this follows that formulaic pattern of being really like super simple. I know people say that about Mandalorian all the time, but I think it really came to a head with this season. Obviously, Grogu, they didn't know what to do with Grogu. I didn't think Grogu was going to be in this season, and it didn't seem like he really was written to be. And it seemed like he was just going to toss back in there. That could be a bunch of studio politics in the background. That could be a whole different conversation. But I still like what we got above a surface level, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'd love to say a 7. I don't know if I'd go 6. I'd give it a 6.5, 7 still. I like that range just because it really does bring a lot of things that are necessary for Star Wars to have in live action. Like Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff in anything. Just first of all, I Katie Sackhoff, she's our sci-fi queen. You know, I love her to death. I watch anything and everything. I watched Another Life with her on Netflix, and that wasn't all that good. But it was still fun with her. But she needed to be in live action.
I did like her. But I love her very, very much.
Yeah.
I'm a 2%er. Did y'all hear about that one? I'm definitely a 2%er.
Oh, yes. And just like Christian Harloff said right after, it's much higher than 2%.
Oh,
much higher than 2%.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Bo needed to come to live action. We needed to see the Darksaber in more of just a MacGuffin kind of way. And we needed to, I mean, it's not, we didn't need all this, but I like me some Jurassic-y kind of things. I like seeing all the giant dinosaurs pop up and all that kind of cool stuff. If they formulate it to the story a little better instead of like, okay, it's at the beginning of a thing or it's at the end, and it's just like, you know, it's very formulaic in the way they present it to us, and I think that's what we're growing tired of. I don't think it's the content, or I don't like even saying the word content unless we're talking like a YouTube kind of thing. But I don't think it's that the project itself, Mandalorian, is going downhill per se. I think there's a lot of politics going on in the background, and this was us. This was even like your average Star Wars fan or your average fan that just watches Mando or anything. This is where they're kind of like, okay, that Star Wars politics in the background is BS because it's affecting what we're watching more so than just like, all right, this is I'm not speaking super well right here, going on a tangent, but it's not just the movies, it's the TV series, and it's culminating where like it's affecting Star Wars as a whole, where the sequel trilogy was further away, and there were a lot of people that didn't like it, and that's because of the writing and a lot of the studio politics behind that. But TV's kind of been the safe spot for years, and now that it's bridging the gap between the sequels and that, it's definitely losing that safe spot, and that's what we just witnessed. That was all of season 3 of Mando, I think, for better and worse.
How much of it is a problem, though, is that between them filming this Mandalorian season and then it actually airing, that is when they decided to do a massive shake-up with their plans for Star Wars. There were elements within this series that are now irrelevant because they were setting up things that now aren't going to happen, which you know better than I do. But how much of a problem was that?
I don't think that's a problem because if you watch the Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that, Dave Filoni is. I know Favreau is technically the Mandalorian guy, but Filoni's the creative director of Lucasfilm now. He's supersedes even Star Wars, so he's on board with everything and has a certain way of doing things. And if you watch Clone Wars particularly, it took not 3 episodes or not 2 or 3 arcs of episodes. It took 3 years for people to like the Ahsoka character. And there's a reason she's so beloved and brought to live action now. Even though she's a very difficult character to bring to live action, have 2 lightsabers swinging around with 2 giant Lekus on her head. It's a whole different thing to film live action, but there's a reason they brought her, you know?
Yeah, they got a
So is that Ahsoka TV show not happening then?
Oh no, it's still happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's
the Republic police show, whatever. What's that happening there?
Rangers of the New Republic.
Oh, Rangers of the New Republic. Yeah, no, that's done. That was actually also part of what was wrong with this season of The Mandalorian is they were
100%.
They were attempting to cram like some of that off the wall crap that was in a lot of these episodes was them attempting to cram some of the Rangers of the New Republic storyline in that they couldn't use because they fired Gina, who was supposed to be the lead of Rangers of the New Republic. It was supposed to be her and what's that X-Wing pilot's name?
Carson Teva.
Yeah, it was supposed to be her. Rangers of the Republic was supposed to be her and Carson Teva working together.
Yeah.
And when they fired her, that series went out the window. So they crammed a couple, 3 storylines from that into The Mandalorian.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to have like the Imperial spy lady that was Moff Gideon's kind of spy in the New Republic, or Pershing, or Carson Teva. Maybe Carson Teva going to hang out with the Mandalorians for a little bit.
So that was leading up to this series that didn't come out. It's not going to come out because I watched that and I was, although it was a good episode, I didn't think it fitted. But now that you said that, now it makes sense.
It's piecemeal, just put together, puzzle piece together, as best they could. Kind of, it's not puzzle pieced; it's Frankenstein together after the fact. They're like, okay, reshoot, work around. It kind of works. Put it out, you know. And it sucks that they had to.
Harris, you mentioned it earlier about the formulaic, like how it comes across.
Yes.
Season 3 for me, with the first episode, I felt that 100%. Like it was very, very formulaic, and I didn't like that they keep it. I like TV shows that follow a formula, but I don't like it when it's a very obvious formula and they just do the same thing over and over and over again.
But that is the way. So,
but
there's kind of
write it a little bit better and make it so I don't notice it, because essentially the formula is we need this. Oh, side quest, and they go on a side quest. And I was watching like the first episode. Like, oh, he's gone on another side quest, like it did in season 1, like it did in season 2. I bet there's going to be something that happens on that side quest, and it's going to lead on to another side quest. Oh, I was right. Like, just make it a little bit better.
Case in point for that was what Aaron was saying just a minute ago. Was and what you were mentioning was Jack Black and Lizzo. As fun as it is, and they do well for a general audience, just to kind of bring people in. Yeah. The last 2 minutes of that episode, it was the only like actual meat, you know. Everything else was just fat hanging off and great flavor, delicious. But we need the meat. We want our protein.
It's like Jack Black just wrote to Disney when I wanted to in Star Wars, and he was like, "All right, we'll put you in Star Wars. Here's an episode."
Also, part of the awkwardness of that first episode. Part of the awkwardness of that first episode is the fact that they had to basically cover for those who didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett why the hell Grogu was even back.
Well, like go to Tatooine for 5 minutes just for the sake of it, just like
they had to bring him back to Navarro so he could explain why Grogu was back, and of course they had to set up the land that they used later and all that stuff. But because the Book of Boba Fett was nowhere near as widely watched as Mando, they had to unless you were like a nerd, you really didn't. Most people didn't know that Grogu was hanging out with Luke in a couple episodes of Book of Boba, and then it came back to him. So they had to explain that to quite a few people. So that's why that's even started off that awkwardly.
Boba Fett wasn't as popular. I really enjoyed Boba Fett. Especially the middle when it was Mandalorian 3.5.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a lot of it. Those were the best 2 episodes of the season, was when it was like the Mando ones, but those really shouldn't have happened because those were put in exclusively to put Grogu back with Din.
JD, you're not allowed an opinion. You don't like Star Wars at all.
I don't hate Star Wars, but it's not my favorite. I will admit. I nearly stopped watching Mandalorian. First 2 episodes of the first season, I was like, God, this is slow. And then I got into it, and I really enjoy it. But I don't get excited.
I felt like that on the first season.
The first season, that's what I said.
The first season, I watched it, and I thought
the first couple of episodes were like, this is hard work.
I think I actually I watched the first 2 episodes, stopped watching it, and then came back to it and watched it again. I was like, give it a go. Same.
Do you know what kept me going? I was like, I've got a sci-fi channel. I've really got to watch this. And that was something that got me through. And then I got it, and I started to enjoy it, and but I don't hate Star Wars. I was just always a Trekkie when I was a kid, so it's hard for me to. It's different, isn't it? And it's like I'm more of a Trekkie, so I struggle with it at times. But I will tip my hat to you guys. You guys actually know what you're talking about on this one.
Sometimes.
So, right.
Well, I don't. I'm a general fan. These two.
I know, yeah. Well, this idiot. Sorry.
Do we want to get into the studio politics that also screwed up this season? I mean, just for fun.
Politics.
I still want to get hired by Disney, y'all. We got.
They're going under. I wouldn't worry about
it. If
we might get bought out by Apple.
Working at Lucasfilm, I'd be fired the same day because I just walk into Kathy's office and defenestrate her. See ya.
Fair enough. Go on then. What about the politics?
Well, again, this is coming from insiders and is a bit rumory, but like we were talking about earlier, it was basically Kathy that forced the whole Grogu thing back that soon, and a lot of it also has to do with why they changed the premise of the Lindelof movie and changed Lindelof to Stephen Wright. It's marketing and product. Grogu sells.
Yeah.
Young Rey sells. I don't know if you guys heard about the original premise to the Lindelof movie, but it got changed a lot. Like a lot. Like Lindelof wanted to set it 60 years after Rise of Skywalker. So he was looking to cast like a Helen Mirren type to play an old Rey. And then she was going to find a couple of young Force users and train to be Jedi and, set things right in the galaxy, yada, yada, the usual. But that was his original pitch, which Kathy approved until she saw the script. And then she's like, nah, bounced him for Stephen Wright and was like, all right, I need a younger Rey for whatever reason.
Is this for the new
2025
movies that are coming out? Yeah.
Yeah, this is for the 2025. The next one to come out.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
So is that going to be young Rey? So when she's what?
No,
it's going to be like 7 years after Rise instead of 6.
They said 15.
So
I think it kind of
going to
bridged the gap a little bit.
How we got young Leia, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of age.
No, it's just not old Rey. It's younger Rey.
She's 15 years older than where the Rise of Skywalker ends. Is where the next movie is going to pick up.
Basically, so they could keep Daisy.
Oh, so it's after what we've seen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was going the other way around.
This movie was always going to be set after Rise of Skywalker, but Lindelof wanted to set it 60 years after.
Right.
And Kathy was after. I mean, she approved the initial premise, but I guess the script wasn't that great, and she had second thoughts like, I don't know if we can really sell older Rey. Let's get Daisy back and just make it like 10 to 15 years after. I guess 15 years after now.
Plus, the thing with Star Wars at the moment is that they do keep jumping through time, and for somebody like me who will watch it and enjoy Star Wars but isn't the avid fan you two guys are, it's hard to know what's going on. I'll go to right. Okay, this is this point in Star Wars after the thing, but before that thing, and then okay. So which time frame is this now? And then
Rogue One's a great example of that. When that came out,
Rogue One's the easiest for me. Like it runs.
Rogue One's
for me it wasn't. When it first came out, I assumed it was a new movie coming out, and I just didn't get it. And then someone was like, "Oh no, this is set between, what is it? It's set just before A New Hope, isn't it? Essentially,
Rogue One.
Yeah. And then someone was like, "Oh, so it's between A New Hope and Return the whatever that prequel third movie was called,
Revenge of the Sith."
Okay, Revenge of the Sith. That's it. Yeah.
And then, to be honest, Andor sort of confused me because I had to, I'm like writing notes trying to figure out the time frame for Andor, like how far before was it, and is it before this? So I mean, it's just going to be. So I can understand why somebody at Disney might have gone, let's not do the next trilogy 60 years ahead and confuse even more people. Let's get it so it's roughly chronologically sort of like where we would be. So it's going to be, is it 5 years since Skywalker now, or will it be by the time the movie comes out? Will it be about 5 years?
It's 15 years.
No. I mean, actually, literally from when Skywalker came out, was it 2020 or something like that?
19.
19, and then it'll be 2025 in this film. So 6 years gap, but it's 15 years in the movie. That's not a big. Do you know what I mean? That's chronologically not that far off. it won't confuse the wider audience, maybe.
Aren't they also making one that is set like 500-600 years in the past?
Mm-hmm. Dawn of the Jedi. Actually, if it's going exactly by the title, it's more like 20,000.
Yeah, because it's like the how the Jedi Order became the Jedi Order, essentially.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be set on Tython, which is the planet that they had to take Grogu to for him to summon whoever he was going to on the big glowy rock.
Right. So the galaxy far, far away in a long, 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 long time ago. Okay.
See, okay, Disney, hire me. I'm on your side for this one for once. But I feel like KK did do the right thing there. Because if we're doing the James Mangold going back to way before, like even the Old Republic, we're already going to get that a little bit harder sci-fi, because there's only one thing to do with the first Force user, first Jedi. I mean, he's creating a religion. You're putting rules to the things that we see as fantasy, magic, jargon, which makes it more hard sci-fi compared to the space fantasy that we're used to. And that coming from James Mangold, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Damon Lindelof 100% would have gone the same way. I love Lindelof with Watchmen and all these different type of things. That's just kind of the way he does things. I love that trippy kind of, let's really spin this in a whole different way we didn't expect. But I can see where Kathleen Kennedy is looking at, because if she changed all of Mandalorian season 3 just to put Grogu back in, she wants those. Kathleen Kennedy's a good producer. She knows money, and she knows what your average Joe wants. And I think that's where she's going with that. And I don't blame her in this instance for this, if that makes sense.
You might be able to
a lot of the reaction I saw, there's a lot of people that would have preferred Lindelof's script, because there's a large portion of the fan base that would love more separation from the sequels rather than less.
Yes, but like Jay said, I feel like that's the core fan base, and I'm 100% part of that. I much prefer a Lindelof. I would. I just love his writing style. I like Stephen Knight. I haven't even watched Peaky Blinders though, so I haven't watched.
Peaky Blinders is magnificent.
We're from up the road. Matt is from even closer than me.
Oh no shit!
Well, I'm not from here.
Where are the haircuts?
But we live within a stone's throw of Peaky Blinders, so that's.
Harris, I was going to ask. You might know the answer to this. So on the the prequel that's coming from like 20,000 years in the past. I've read a little bit about Star Wars history, and how they had their old lightsabers. They had proto sabers, so they had a thing on the back. Do you reckon that's gonna be in that?
I don't think so, but please, Disney, we've been nice.
Because I don't know the time frames at all as to when they went from that to like proper.
So there's two ways that can go. I don't think they're gonna go proto saber. I don't think they're gonna go lightsaber. I don't think they're going lightsaber at all. I think they're using
more proto sabers.
Saber.
Yeah, it'd be regular swords and things like that, but force imbued, if that makes sense. If you watch the Clone Wars a lot of the times, and I guess. No, they haven't really done any live action. I don't think Night Sisters or Night Brothers really. Darth Maul is the closest we've gotten to that.
Supposedly in Ahsoka.
Yeah, that is going to change the game. That's going to change the game entirely on the way we view Star Wars in a lot of ways. It's going to be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, but if they're sticking to the Legends novels about the Dawn of the Jedi, quick side note, back then they were the Jedi, Jedai. They used force-imbued steel weapons, basically force vibro knives and vibro swords. Essentially, is what that boils down to. It was actually in Legends the Sith that invented the lightsaber.
And Disney are well known for not fucking with canon.
Yes,
I swear. Dang it.
Well, thankfully, with this, we have creative director Dave Filoni on board. That is the saving grace. That he's so anal about lore and well, okay, that's not actually he's not anal about lore because he'll toss it out. But whenever he does pick what is lore, he sticks with it, I guess. But it's very much live action. I didn't expect him to go the way he did because he's even changed some things he's done in animation, which is like his pet projects, his babies, But if he puts it in live action, I think that is like that is the canonical thing that we're supposed to think about.
Do you know the deciding factor is whether they can create some sort of toy that they can sell of a force-imbued lightsaber.
Oh,
sword. If they can't, they want to. But I tell you what,
all they gotta do is make something like you hit a button in the handle and it vibrates. You're good. There it is. Force-imbued sword.
I know certain people will love that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, especially if you plug it in, they'll love it. But okay, let's go back to Mandalorian season 3. Right.
Where'd your mind go there?
Yeah, I don't know. I was on the washing machine. I was having a moment. Was Mandalorian season 3 a missed opportunity to understand the Mandalorian culture better? Because for me, as an outsider again, a little bit, it was confusing. Or do we think we learned? Learn about the Mandalorians? Did we?
I feel like I know a little bit more about the Mandalorian culture.
Yeah, but it was confusing.
It was confusing, but I do feel like I'll know a little bit more. Especially now, there's the two factions. There's one that take the helmets off, and there's now and obviously the proper Mandalorians who don't take the helmets off. Like, I don't know. I am a general fan. I went into Mandalorian not knowing anything about Mandalorians.
Yeah,
and I know a bit more than I did before. So yes, I think I know a little bit more.
How about you guys?
Okay.
You do know more. I was thinking particularly the younglings thing was
well. I'm really glad Matt just said that, because I am the exact opposite. There's 30, 40, 50 Mandalorian sects in like different parts, and we combined 2 and took back Mandalore. I wanted to see 13, 14, 15 come back together, and then at the end or something have 5, 10, 12 other groups of Mandalorian, have another fleet come in.
There's
oh no, there's a lot of in Rebels that's going on right now. Rebels,
there was those pirate Mandalorians as well.
We saw 3. They were just the ones that got left behind.
There's a lot of different factions. This was a whole planet of moons of culture, and Death Watch was just one moon and now is the Children of the Watch. That's just one small little sect that was like already shunned and shoved to the outside of Mandalorian culture. But that's coming from someone who's super delved into Star Wars, grew up with it, yada yada. It's ingrained in my brain. I'm glad you said that, because if they would have given us that, it's confusing enough with 2 factions already. It is, you need to lay these ground rules to understand things. And I think season 4, 5, 6, whatever that is, I'm sure we'll get your little formulaic Grogu and Din going off of Navarro and doing whatever. But I hope that formulaic going off of Navarro is to go, do some bounty hunting, but find us more Mandalorians to truly take back Mandalore.
Navarro in her own series, isn't she? Katie Sackhoff's getting a Mandalorian season, isn't she? Or has that been cancelled?
Not necessarily.
That's still very rumory. It's just all speculation right now. I mean, it would make sense.
Unity,
but yeah,
it makes sense. It makes sense that there's so many different factions of Mandalore because of how obviously it's a whole planet. But going into this season, I always just assumed Mandalorians were Mandalorians. The whole planet was like they are, because you've got the Jedi who are very much they're the Jedi. The Sith are very much they're the Sith. So I didn't really. It's naive to think of it, but I didn't really think, there's going to be Mandalorians that don't really follow Mandalore. Oh, yeah. But obviously there is, and that is interesting.
The ones that follow the way is like literally just that's like a 0.05% of Mandalorians. Like that's the smallest group there is, but they're the most vicious and the most militaristic and like ancient Mandalore like, which is why they always pop up and tend to find themselves back in the story, and because they're interesting and cool and stoic, and they're easy to put in live action because they always have helmets on. So there's a few reasons they tend to pop up. But these names won't mean anything to you. Aaron will probably know, but I fully expected Finn Rao and any of the Ren clan to pop up. And that, have y'all seen the trailer for Ahsoka? Did you see the trailer for Ahsoka, Matt?
No.
Okay, well, there is a Mandalorian girl in there, and she's the one with all the colorful hair. In Rebels, she has a bunch of painted Beskar armor is her Mandalorian stuff. That's a whole. Her family has a whole different thing, and they're really good friends. They're night owls alongside Bo-Katan, so they're part of that clan-ish. They're like a sister clan essentially.
So is she a helmet off or a helmet on Mandalorian?
All helmet off. The only helmet ons are the Children of the Watch. Is that like 0.05%? Everybody else is like, yeah,
stupid.
Yeah. It's like
you keep your helmet on all the time, even to sleep.
You're gonna die early from
what I didn't get. That kid was not fully grown. His head is gonna grow.
But they'll make
pieces
more.
of armor.
But he's not allowed to take it off.
He'll have the armor would make him a helmet, and then he'd go off somewhere to change it out of sight.
Yeah,
just because just like how they ate when they were going to rescue Paz Vizsla's kid. You know, the leader got to stay by the fire. Everyone else went off to where no one else could see him, so they could take their helmet off, eat, and then put it back on.
Yeah, because when they say you never take your helmet off, mate, they don't mean it. It's not that they mean it literally.
You can take it off.
It's never take your helmet off in the presence of another living being.
Yeah, they don't explain that well, do they? They just say, if you're not really listening and you're a Mandalorian, and you'd be like, you never take your helmet off, and you take that literally, you're not going to live very long.
Yeah, well, it's not in the presence of another living being. That's the caveat.
But we know
that's why didn't let IG-11 spray him down with the Bacta in the season finale in the finale of season 1. Is IG, he's like, I can't take my helmet off. IG's like, I'm not living. Oh, okay. So just no biologicals can see your face.
Yeah.
Stupid rule. My biggest problem with Mandalorian as a whole is if I swear to God I hear anybody say this is the way one more time, I'm going. I mean, not everything is the way. Not everything. They're like, should we go this way? No, that is not the way. Let's go this way.
We've had this.
They're fanatics, though, man. They are fanatics.
There's only one answer to this, Jamie.
They're the Mandalorian equivalent of ISIS, basically. They're fanatics.
They are. They're fanatics that they've only got a very limited vocabulary.
This is the way.
It isn't the bloody way.
It's not. It's not. But
I'm hovering over the remove button here, so it's not everything is the way. It just drives me up the wall. But
I appreciated the delve into the day-to-day culture, but I do think they could have done more overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Teal'c removed his helmet during the SG season.
Big deal. The whole snakehead.
Yeah. You were the first I believed that I could do it.
I did feel like just say it one more time a day would be fine. The other thing is, all right, it's a slightly Trekkie reference here. The Mandalorians all have like red shirts on under their armor because a lot of them die a lot. I mean, how is that? How are they still a race? They're just like most of them died.
They propagate by foundlings, mostly.
Well, they have to propagate a lot because they keep running to battle, and it seems that
there is something I didn't understand about the Beskar armor from season 3. So obviously the Dark Troopers all have Beskar.
Yeah.
The Mandalorians obviously all have Beskar as well. They're shooting each other with, assumably, Mandalorian weaponry. But it's Beskar armor. Mm-hmm. Why would you make your armor be able to get damaged by your own weapons? So they're shooting the Dark Troopers. The Dark Troopers are falling down very easily.
Not all of them, to be fair.
Yeah, no. They make a point of shooting behind different weak points in the armor.
Yeah, there's weak points. I
saw a couple. They literally shot and then they just fell over.
Well, yeah. They got hit by the spray in just the right. There's vulnerable spots all over the Beskar.
Yeah.
The Beskar armor doesn't cover them that much. I mean, you look at Katie Sackhoff's armor. There's loads of places you can shoot to.
She's got minimal.
They made a big deal about them having Beskar. That's my point. And then they were able to get defeated quite.
I actually thought that was really clever.
Well, that's also Beskar versus Beskar. You put Beskar in a fight with anybody else. Think about Din in season 2 with Ahsoka. Yeah. I mean, they can. Any one of those people can go toe to toe with a Jedi. Technically, probably not skill base wise, but technically, any of them have the capability of going toe to toe.
Well, Mandalorians have hated the Jedi so long. Just about everything they have on their armor is so they can fight Jedi.
Fire, wrapping them up.
Yep, wrapping them up, flaming them, the jetpacks.
So those whistling birds, Jedi can't do anything about that.
I mean, the jetpack so they can compete with force leaps and force speed. I mean, it's all based on being able to beat the Jedi, who are their biggest threat in the galaxy. They could whoop anyone else's ass. At least pre-Empire.
But yeah, pre-Empire. But I did think that was a very clever storyline. That's why they were there. That an attempt at, well, they're the rebellion now, aren't they? Basically, so this new rebellion that's the Alliance was setting themselves up on Mandalore to get the armor to go and grow. And then, I mean, they leaped over the whole clone thing with Moff Gideon really quickly, though. I thought that was mentioned, and he said, "Oh, it was mentioned earlier in the series. Oh no, cloning's your thing. I'm not involved in that." And then they had this whole thing where he was trying to clone himself with the Force, and that was just like, boom, done, gone, next.
That's why I'm not convinced that it's fully over. I'm fully expecting him to come back in season 4, because it was very much you essentially you killed my babies. Let me kill you now, and then
they were going to have the Force.
And it did feel very rushed.
Next,
the prevailing theory is that was a clone.
I was about to say, what's the likelihood y'all think he's a clone?
Yeah,
that's the prevailing theories, because when he was watching Din and Grogu come towards the control center, he went out a back door with a mustache, and then somehow didn't even encounter Din and Grogu before they came in and wrecked all his clones. And then they got into the area, and then he come in through another door over here. And again, didn't have a mustache. And so a lot of people are thinking that the real Moff Gideon, when he went out the one way, he just jetted and then sent the clone in from wherever he was going to, go to safety from, and sent him around to do his business.
He was walking the whole time. He had their live location.
Yeah, I mean, he knew exactly where they were. He could have gone right to them and done what he wanted, easily. But for some unknown reason, took this circuitous route, and then ended up back in the other room with no.
So, Robo Darth Vader was the real one.
Dead.
Oh, sorry, Harris. Sorry, Matt. Sorry.
It'll benefit him more that everyone thinks he's dead.
Yeah, so carry on being sneaky.
Yeah. So especially since he's obviously planning on at least somewhat rebelling against Thrawn too. So it's a very good idea that he's in hiding right now.
Mm-hmm.
Robo Darth Vader looks stupid as well with his silly little crown thing.
That's how we know you haven't seen Clone Wars.
Yep.
I've watched bits of Clone Wars.
So do you recognize who else? What other characters have things like that?
Well, Darth Maul had little spiky heady thing.
In Clone Wars, sorry, spoiler.
No.
Say what?
It wasn't supposed to look like a crown then. It was supposed to look like horns.
Darth Maul ruled Mandalore. He took it over from the person that Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan, even though she was a princess, her sister, while she ruled Mandalore, was a pacifist. And Bo-Katan obviously is pacifism, So she joined Death Watch, the people that turned into the helmet guys. And they had the Darksaber. They took over Mandalore. And then Darth Maul took over them and became the leader of Mandalore. So Mandalore was ruled by Darth Maul for a long time, and that's what the sequel trilogy was going to originally end up being before Disney did Disney stuff.
Okay.
So that's one of those big things. The armor, she always has her little horns on her head, right? She very well might just be. She could just be a Zabrak. She could be the same species and just need horns in her helmet, or she very well might be a Mandalorian. And she's been playing them the whole time. Because that one episode of The Spies is, we only ever saw one, and still up in the air.
The lack of payoff on that pissed me off.
Yeah, I'm talking about Moff Gideon's armor, though, with the horns on.
Yeah. Well, one of the theories is that he, at some point, was either a follower of Maul just in general, or could have been raised Mandalorian.
Yep.
Was a Mandalorian at the time. After Maul got beat and Mandalore got purged, he went and joined the Empire, because they specifically said at some point he was an ISB agent too. And then, put aside his Mandalorian heritage, because the Empire's winning, the smart thing is to join them, but never forgot his heritage. And when he finally got his Beskar on for himself and his troops, That's why he included the horns on his helmet too, because he's been a long time devotee of Darth Maul, just like the rest of the Mandalorians.
That would make sense. That's a little Easter egg. So that's a little Easter egg, really. Okay. Just before we get into the highs and lows of the series for ourselves, the Rotten Tomatoes score for the season, not the critics one, the audience score. Do you guys know what it is?
No.
No.
Shall I take a guess?
65.
No.
Yeah, 65, 70, something like that.
50%.
Oh.
So, for season 3. That's not good. And I know, to be fair, I think that's pretty fair, particularly compared to season 1 and 2. This was not a good season of television, to be honest, for me. Anyway, as a floaty Star Wars fan. But guys, let's go through highs first. What are the bits of the season that really stand out for you that you absolutely loved? Aaron, why don't you go first on this one? What are the highs of the series for you?
I actually loved the fact they moved Bo-Katan forward a bit, because like Harris, I've loved her character since I watched the Clone Wars. Like, she's been a badass for years. So it was cool seeing her do that. Plus Katie Sackhoff's freaking hot. Like I said, I'm a 2%er, but bringing her was cool, very cool. The injecting of the Mandalorian day-to-day life, even though that was kind of a filler episode when they had to go get Paz Vizsla's son back. I mean, just a little bit more in depth of their day-to-day and getting into some specifics was pretty sweet. Obviously, Katie's fight with Axe Woes in order to take over, despite that convenient handoff of the Darksaber. And the old school everyone with the jetpack battle in the finale was friggin' dope. The scale of that one was sweet. I think the pirates were pretty fun. Mandalorian's always been marketed as like a space western, so that shootout in the season premiere was pretty sweet too, like the street shootout with the pirates. Although if they show me another Weequay pirate without it being Hondo Ohnaka, I'm gonna have a fit.
I'm having one right now just from thinking about it.
I know. It's like they could have brought him into the Bad Batch using what's her name? Wanda Sykes' pirate character. As soon as she said,
yeah, I was so expecting that.
Bring me Hondo. Bring Hondo. Nothing. And then you give me a Weequay pirate, but in the premiere of The Mandalorian, but again, not Hondo. It's like he's one of he's just about everyone's one of their favorite characters from Clone Wars and Rebels.
Oh, he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters, honestly.
Exactly.
I love Hondo. And we keep seeing Ugnaughts and Weequays pop up. I'm like,
yeah. The Ugnaught scene, the Ugnaught scene in the Black Lizzo episode, that was sweet. That was probably one of the best parts of that episode for me.
That's one of my highlights for the season. It's not something I would think about, but easily one of my highlights.
Yeah.
Go on, then. What's the rest of your highlights, Harris?
Well, how many Ugnaughts were there? Those. That everything Aaron said, because those were honestly kind of the best parts. The second episode I just really enjoyed. The Mines of Mandalore. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a sci-fi guy all day and every day, but a little Lord of the Rings in there. Oh my God, I'm a happy camper. I got an Elder Scroll around me right now. I like my fantasy, So the Mines of Mandalore hit it right where I wanted it to hit it. That was like a super sweet. That was space fantasy perfection for me. The surrounding episodes making that make sense, that's a different discussion. But I really liked episode 2, and I liked all the high points that Aaron talked about, and then frickin' Ugnaughts. Just come on. I love me some Ugnaughts.
But did you like the Ugnaughts? That's the question.
I loved the Ugnaughts. I have spoken.
Finish my drink. Okay then. How about you, Matt? What did you, as an outsider like me, what was your highest?
I just like the action scenes. That's literally what I watch it for, like the fight scenes. So that thing at the end, that thing like you said, everyone's on a jetpack and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was great. I loved it. The thing with the was the thing with the pirates and they crashed the pirate ship in this season. Yeah, yep. I really like that.
The pirate stuff was cool.
Yeah. I like Robo Grogu as well. I really like Robo Grogu.
Every 5 minutes, a Mandalorian is tripping over a massive dinosaur. That's what I thought was a bit strange. But go on, sorry, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, Robo Grogu, but you hate him, so.
I love Iron Grogu.
The Anzellan is
Robo Darth Vader, both a bit stupid.
If the Ugnaughts don't take the cake, the Anzellan does. Just.
Anzellans are just fun. That was one of the few redeeming qualities of Rise of Skywalker for me. Is I love Babu Frick. Babu Frick, man.
No squeezy. I love that.
Bad baby, no squeezy. I'm out, motherfucker.
I'm going to be honest. You're saying these names, and I don't know what you're on about.
The
Anzellans are the little
tiny
robot
engineer
guys.
I know that when you said I've spoken, I knew you meant the time.
That was the Ugnaught.
Yeah.
I've
I know you
spoken
said them. You're saying Anzellans and you're saying Ugnaught.
And Zellans are the guys that made IG-12 for Grogu. And Ugnaughts are like the guy from the first season that's always like, I have spoken, that guy.
Nick Nolte.
Yes.
Okay.
Nick Nolte. Okay. For me, the highs were the same as you. The final episode was great with the battle with the jetpack battle and everything. That was brilliant. That's it. Katie Sackhoff. She was unbelievable. You couldn't pick it. They'd have had to have like genetically engineered somebody to do that part, and it would look like, say, Katie Sackhoff. She's just perfect for the role.
Katie
She's
Sackhoff.
Bo-Katan, period. She voiced her in Clone Wars and Rebels, and now she's her in live action. She is Bo-Katan. It's just
She's had the character for
perfect.
almost 18 years, huh?
Actually, really, it's perfect casting. Absolutely diabolically perfect. But so I love that. Okay, so we don't like talking negatively too much on here, but it's fun, and I like it. So go on, Aaron. We'll go around again, same route. Downside. Anything that you thought, could have done right?
Buckle up.
Buckle my turn.
Well, first of all, obviously the writing was all over the place, and to me, that's mostly down to politics and Kathy pissing John off and a couple other things. So I don't blame John completely for that. It was cool to find out what happened to Pershing, I guess, but not in a 40-minute, like middle of a 50-minute episode where I got 10 minutes of what the show's actually about, and then all that crap, and then 10 minutes of more what the show's actually about. So that was kind of a bummer. Again, the cramming in of all the Rangers of the Republic storyline made it super awkward. No offense to Jack Black and Lizzo, but again, that whole segment of that episode was a complete friggin' waste of time for me. I mean, if you're going to throw in a fun little cameo filler episode like that, do it in episode 2 or 3, not episode 6 out of 8. It was more the timing of that one that got under my skin than the actual episode itself, although it was still mostly a waste of time anyway.
No, I get that. We were supposed to be getting to the business end of the season, and they had this weird filler episode. No, I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the way the story ended up playing out, and just all the excess filler. And a lot of people out there got pissed off by Bo getting the Darksaber on that technicality. That didn't bother me too much. It would have been cool.
That's essentially the whole Elder Wand argument, isn't it, with Harry Potter? It's exactly basically the same sort of thing.
Oh yeah, totally the same sort of thing. But yeah, just a lot of it basically comes down to the writing and the way they put the show together. It was just awkward, all over the place, and like when they did get to the story, they just it was cool, but the story ended up being underdone because they overdid all the other stuff.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So
how about you, Harris? What do you think?
That was my big thing about it, mostly.
Negatives, Harris?
Yeah, all the Rangers of the New Republic stuff, I agree with there. That could have been just because it just feels Frankenstein. It feels Frankenstein at the end of the day, instead of methodically put together. It just feels like, okay, we got what we got, for better and worse. Whatchamacallit, I'd also say the Jack Black and Lizzo episode.
Sorry.
But no, for different reasons. Well, for the same reason, for the timing, it didn't belong in the part of the season where it was. But see, I wouldn't just give me 10 episodes and have one of them be Jack Black and Lizzo and be on that planet. Let Jack Black do most of the talk and all that. Lizzo's just not an actress. Okay, if you want to have a cool cameo, have a cool cameo, but relegate it to a cameo and not a part in the episode. You could have had Lizzo be like the main queen, even though Jack Black's her king. It's obvious that he kind of was like welcomed to the planet, you know, and it was really Lizzo's. Have her sit on a throne instead of throwing billiards and polo in the middle of a freaking square. Have her sit on a throne and like give the quest, and then say, "Oh, great, Jack Black, let him do his thing. Put him more pivotal in the episode." But the thing that got me about that episode is you use Christopher frickin' Lloyd and put him in with this Count Dooku. Like that should have been its entire episode. That should have been an episode. That could have been a spinoff series, and I would have been happy.
I get that. It was a bit
because he was the best. He was the best part of the 3 cameos, story wise, and just Jack Black acted fine. Lizzo not an amazing actress. That's why you relegate her to a cameo. But I think Christopher Lloyd did his part the best. And any Count Dooku's one of my favorite characters ever. And he's my individual favorite hero and villain. It doesn't matter who asked the question. That's my answer for both for Star Wars characters. He's my favorite Star Wars character in general. And he's the only person that's ever led a legitimately, like, wholeheartedly good side. Not wholeheartedly good, but he was convinced to do the bad that he did in a way. And he did do it willingly at a certain point. But he's the most anti-hero, actual hero. Separatists were really the good guys at the end of the day, kind of thing. And that I love seeing, like, because we dive into all the space politics without forgetting, like, hey, there were people that were like just trying to do good for themselves. You know, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, Matt, for you, downs, negatives.
Some of it was boring. There are episodes that just didn't need to exist. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Some of it was boring. I mean, I'm not a mega fan like these two, so I can't pick out. It's like this didn't like meet my expectations here and there, but I think just the fact that I wasn't invested within I don't know, the first couple of episodes. The first couple of episodes were good. I think after what episode was it with the flying thing? Is that like episode 4?
4 and 5.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think
was it 3 and 4 or 4 and 5? One of the two.
After that,
and then they had a couple more after they cut to
they had a couple more episodes like that.
They could have went to the mines in episode 2 and then went to the covert in episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was episode 1 actually. At the end of episode 1 is when I felt the formulaic, like I felt it. Not the Force felt it. I physically felt it. Like,
in your bottom.
So that reminds me of one more thing. The Mythosaur. All we got to do is see it open its eye twice.
Yeah.
Like, what the crap, dude?
Yeah.
Don't give me the whole thing and not bring the Mythosaur out. I almost forgot about that, but yeah, the Mythosaur being just teased into nothing.
But there was time for another miscellaneous giant creature to pop out from under the, okay.
On their way to the Great Forge, which turns out to be Gideon's base. We had to have another random creature.
Next door. It's next door to Gideon's base, wasn't it? They were base adjacent.
Yeah.
You had to go through a door to the side and into
But completely underutilized the Mythosaur.
Negatives for me. Let's think. Robo Grogu was stupid. Robo Darth Vader was stupid. The dark saber looks stupid.
Not anymore. It's broken.
It was boring. It's broken anyway. It was boring in places. There was too many episodes that went over. The whole Imperial re-thingy center, where the rehabilitation center.
Yeah.
That storyline went on for ages and didn't go anywhere. And it was stupid. That whole character from what was she in before this? Was it Book of Boba Fett? What was she in before this? We saw her as a bad guy. Now she saw the rehabilitation.
She was in Mando 2, season 2.
Season 2 with Mando. She was on Gideon ship.
She didn't go anywhere.
You mean the woman who put the guy in the chair, essentially?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That whole thing didn't go anywhere. Like I say, there was probably more filler episodes in this season than there were actually like story episodes. But if you're going to do a series like this, and it's only eight episodes, like I say, that should be one story, and it should have enough story to fill that. They had at least 4 episodes that were nothing to do with the overall story of the season, but they weren't for anything. One of them was to go and build Robo Grogu. He could have done that with anything. It didn't need to be. Why did it have to be that robot? But he went so far out of his way to get that specific robot that
he wanted IG-11 so badly. He wanted like his memory chips and everything back, and in the end didn't get him. Like, so what was the point?
Exactly, it was irrelevant. It was like 3 episodes of the season was completely irrelevant. Go anyway, and the episode with the bloody pterodactyl thing and that whole episode was stupid and a complete waste of time, and it made absolutely no logical sense. He coughed up that youngling, that bloody pterodactyl thing, and the youngling was fine. And I'm sorry, that's not how anything works. It just blew my mind how idiotic parts of the season were, and I actually quite liked other bits, but the bits I hated, I properly was like, this is no, that's not even. It's not even that I hated them. I didn't dislike them. I was completely indifferent to them. I was completely, which to me is a worse crime in sci-fi, that I didn't care in the slightest. It's just so forgettable. But the bits of it were stupid. And it's such a shame because seasons 1 and 2 were brilliant. It was so good. They were just like some of the best Star Wars. For me, honestly, I think the Star Wars TV in the last 5 years has been way better than the movies for a long time. And it's such a shame that they've gone. The problem was, like I say, it's not that it just wandered so randomly all the way through the season. You just think, oh, what are they going to do next? Who fucking knows? Because they're just going to wander. And that was something. And that's my whole feeling of the series, really. It was wandering. But the last episode was brilliant. I just wish they'd done a bit more of that. There are certain storylines, like you said, Harris. The whole thing with Christopher Lloyd and that whole storyline, which was 2 minutes in the actual episode, I'm thinking, I'd have loved to have seen that sort of like more intertwined through the series, and it would have made that episode more relevant if there was more about the separatists and more about all that, and that was like, and it would have made Christopher Lloyd's part much more important. But instead, it was just like an anecdote in the episode. Like, it was a wasted opportunity.
So you've given me 2 thoughts here. The first one is, hopefully, like I said earlier, it took legitimately 3 years, 3 seasons worth of material for people to love the Ahsoka character. And whenever they loved the Ahsoka character, it went from like, oh, this character's annoying. Why the hell she keep popping up? Like, we just want Anakin, Obi-Wan, and like Yoda. Like, why do we keep getting this random character? By the arc that she turns into like Ahsoka, she's one of the best Star Wars characters ever written. And of course, George's seal of approval was given, and he helped formulate her alongside Dave, yada, yada. So I'm hoping with Dave at the helm, even if we don't love the season right now, a lot of the things that don't make sense now will make sense in 3 years. Will make sense in 4 years, because that's just kind of the way he rolls. But back to exactly what you were just saying was, one of the big things that people want the Mandalorian to do differently and have wanted to do differently since season 1 is we keep getting super freaking short episodes. So with those short episodes that people want more things explained, but with the short episodes we keep getting filler, What do y'all think? What do y'all think about that? Because we want more episodes where we can dive into Star Wars and understand what we're thinking about and watching, instead of just action, boom, boom, put something fun in there, have something good for the general public, and then call it Star Wars. Because that's kind of what it feels. Obviously, it's formulaic, but do we run into the issue of more filler with more time, or does that allow the writer's room to flesh it out? Because then they're thinking about it differently. You know, that makes sense.
That question.
If they're writing well, it shouldn't be a problem to go even 10 episodes or 8, or even keep it at 8, but go like, 55 to 60 minutes on each and every one of them. Yeah. I mean, there is so much lore and even theory out there that they could draw on, even though Kathy said there's no source material. But there's an insane amount of EU material, now Legends material, that they can draw on, and which Dave is starting to do, thank God.
Little bit by little bit.
Yep, little bit by little bit, he's bringing Legends into canon. But yeah, it would not be hard to go 8, 55 or longer minute episodes. It shouldn't be a problem for any writer worth his or her chops at all.
And they can't. So my internet seems to be a bit dodgy at the moment, guys. So I apologize about that. But Matt, you got any thoughts before we head off?
No.
I apologize about my ones as well.
I don't.
That was the problem with me. It was just disappointing. That's the problem I had. It was just really disappointing. And I can show you when they make stupid mistakes in things like this. I find it frustrating. But very quickly then, one last question. Is the future of Star Wars safe? Marvel? I'm not sure. Star Wars?
See, if you would have asked that same question 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 5 months ago, a year ago, I would have put Marvel over Star Wars, honestly. But just after the last couple projects, I think Star Wars is still safer than Marvel, specifically for being, not to say Marvel's not beloved by people, because it is beloved by people, but Star Wars, we all know, just holds a special spot in pop culture in the world. And that, I think, will allow it to weather more than Marvel's able to, because even with formulaic stuff that we're talking about in season 3 of a TV show, that's one season. The last thing that we got besides that was Bad Batch, which people were like, oh, okay, and then it finished and they were like, oh my God, give us more.
Bad Batch was better than Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, easily. Season 2 of Bad Batch was and season 3 is gonna be the end. Like, that pissed me off. I want 5 seasons. I want 7 seasons. Give me another Clone Wars, anything. Tales of the Jedi was before that. Visions, Andor. Boom, boom, boom. Star Wars is doing fine. There's definitely some stuff going on, but at the end of the day, it's fine. Marvel is in much more of a hard-flung future, because Kevin Feige at this point is like, hey, I don't see why he stays. I'll be legitimately honest. I don't see why Kevin Feige's still there, besides like just brand loyalty and wanting to finish something that he started. But he already finished what he started, really. This is a whole new thing with whole new producers, whole new teams. You have 4 other teams that you're trying to put on screen. That alone requires like 4 to 8, 10, 12 teams of people to put one new team of people onto the screen. I think Marvel's in a much more dire era than Star Wars is. And I think that's solely because, and Star Wars only wins because it is Star Wars. That's the only thing. Like, it should be in just as dire straits, because although the TV shows have been great, not a whole bunch of people watch Andor. I still think Andor may be one of the best Star Wars things, if not the best Star Wars thing.
I adored Andor. I thought it was so good.
Nobody watched
it. I think
you watched it.
On the back of what you've just said, the reason Star Wars is probably going to endure over Marvel is there's at least 20,000 years of history now that we know there's 20,000 year movie coming out. And with Star Wars, because it's basically set in the past as it is. You can have these stories at any point along that timeline. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you can literally have. Well, we've had essentially the movies let's talk about movies. The movies we've had have always been within what 100-200 year period, essentially.
Roughly,
Ish,
like 60,
about,
70. Maybe 80.
But there's going to be a load
Yeah.
of stuff that's happened way after that, but there's stuff that's happened way before that they haven't even delved into movie wise and TV show wise, and maybe they have in the cartoons, but not like in live action.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So they've got so much they could do, and I think that's why it will endure, because they've got so much. I know Legends isn't canon anymore, but if they make it canon, because they've every right, they can do. It's still their property. They can just pick and choose parts of it, make it canon. It'll go on for a really long time because there's so much stuff.
Oh yeah, and it's even though like we've talked about it, it can be a little confusing. But when it comes to Star Wars, the only thing that's confusing is the timeline. Because if you just watch or wait a little bit, you're gonna get the culture explanation. You're gonna get the explanation here. You're gonna do that. With Marvel, hey, we're a sci-fi channel. We love our sci-fi concepts. Sci-fi is hails king, yes. But the multiverse is just not good for the general public. As much as I love the concept, it's real. Like that's a legitimate thing in physics. Like we know this exists. It shouldn't be something that's so crazy for all of us to comprehend, but it's not easy to comprehend. And that is hard to show to your general public. And like you just said, we have all of Earth's history to put into the Marvel universe as well, but it's a lot more like you have to be a lot more precise when you do that, because that character might still be alive, might come back later, and it affects things. And obviously, we're talking about rights. Marvel, one of the reasons Marvel may have trouble enduring is because of how long it took to get Fantastic Four, how long it took to get X-Men. Now we're just getting Namor-ish. Or do we have Hulk? Kind of, maybe ish. Who knows?
They don't have Namor or Hulk completely yet. They're still Sony.
Yeah, and that is no matter how confusing Star Wars ever gets timeline wise, because Star Trek is 10 times as confusing timeline wise. I'm just saying, but yeah, it gets weird.
Sure, Paris, leave Star Trek out.
It doesn't matter if it's confusing. Really, it's confusing with what we've had so far because they've been not shoehorned in, but they're stories that have happened in between stories that we already know. But if they make a story that's completely separate, it's still Star Wars, but it's like, let's say 20,000 years in the past. It's essentially a new timeline. It's not confusing because it's so far separated.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think audiences would be confused about that at all.
Yeah.
The thing is what the multiverse idea, and it is only theoretical. It's not. It's one of those things that's mathematically true, but probably isn't in realistically. But it's not just that it's a difficult concept to explain or to understand. It's a difficult concept to present on a screen. The quantum realm looks stupid in the new Ant-Man movie. It doesn't work. It's like a cartoon. It doesn't work. It's better. They cost $200 million to make it, and they lost a crap load again. It's like the fourth movie in a row that's just been not good. But the storyline they're writing Marvel is wandering at the moment, but Star Wars is as well. They're both really wandering. But they could always. It does feel like with Star Wars though, they've brought in these new people and everything. They've grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and they've sort of gone, right. We've lost our way here a little bit. This isn't the way. We need to get back to the way. So, this is the way, and that's what they seem to have done. So I'm hoping they've realised, and they're dragging it back. But we won't know if it's worked or not for probably 12 to 18 months, and then I think we'll know whether they've got it back to the right direction. But with Marvel, I can't see them even trying to do that. They just don't seem to be trying. They seem to think that the way they're going is all planned out, and let's keep going. And I'll tell you what, the movies are rubbish at the moment.
Yeah,
Marvel is in trouble.
They peaked at Endgame, and they can't reach that level of, I don't know, awesome again.
But they should have gone back to the realism side of things, right? So they started off with Iron Man, which is realistic. And, it's still a man in an iron suit, which isn't realistic, but you know what I mean? It felt more real. And then they got more and more extraordinary. But I always said Marvel were genius at keeping it just this side of silly. But they've forgotten how to do it. And they've just wandered. They're just dancing all over that silly line now. And a lot of the stuff is silly. But when they got to that extreme, and it got massively extraordinary, with the end of the Thanos storyline, they should have gone it back then. They should have gone it right back and gone, right, now we need a couple of Iron Man movies again. Not literally Iron Man movies, but no, realistic movies. Let's drag it all right back. And then we need to build up to another extraordinary, Avengers movie eventually. But they just didn't. They keep trying to go Endgame again. And it doesn't work. It's not working.
Spider-Man was a good next movie after that because it did kind of bridge the gap between cool concept, keep it localized and focused. If they would have kept it more street level, I think it would have made more sense. But okay, so you made me think.
It needs to bring it back down.
Spider-Man is the best Marvel movie ever to come out.
Can I say next yet?
Like
John Favreau.
Yeah, I actually feel the opposite. I have more confidence in Marvel's future than I do in Star Wars, honestly. One, Feige greater than Kathleen, and any day of the week, twice on Sunday, blindfolded with his hands tied behind his back in a jail cell, shoved in a barrel.
It's very specific. Feels like you've done that to somebody.
No, it's just what I could come up with on random. Number one, Marvel actually is starting to spend money on writers, unlike they did basically for all of Phase 4, which is mostly why Phase 4 was booty cheeks for the most part, is they were giving a lot of unknown writers a lot of chances. But now they've hired, I can't remember their names, but they just got a new writer for Blade. They just got a new writer for the Thunderbolts, a really good writer for Fantastic Four. So they're spending money on writers again. So basically, they've done the how to say we've made bullshit booty cheeks movies without saying we've made bullshit booty cheeks movies. They're spending money on writers,
which is what they need to do because the writing's been, and they need to spend money on special effects as well because they've got a team.
Yeah. Well, see, that's a whole nother thing. Victoria Alonso was head of the VFX for since 21. So that's a lot of the reason why they booted her.
She was the one of the main reasons why Quantumania didn't look as good. She allocated a bunch of money to Black Panther, right?
Yeah, well, they were
sense,
people at the VFX house that was working on Quantumania literally said they had a massive epic battle scene for Quantumania that they got pulled off of and could not finish, so they could tighten up the effects on Wakanda Forever.
Mm-hmm. And you know who was one of the people in that scene, right? The evil girl from season 3 of Mandalorian. She was one of the main fighters in Quantumania. She was like their person that they hired to like help. I don't. Oh yeah. People, but she was one of their like main martial artists in Quantumania. The Imperial lady that lobotomized Pershing in Mandalorian season 3.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so and Star Wars isn't really making any kind of moves like that to me. I mean, they had a really good concept with Lindelof, and then Kathy just keeps sticking her fingers in stuff she doesn't need. She needs to just be sitting back in her office and managing the money. That's all she needs to be doing.
I got a question for you then before we head off, because there was a big rumor going around at the moment because you mentioned Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah,
there's a big rumor at the moment. You know, that's where I'm going with this. That they're going to cast the Thing as a lady, and Mila Kunis might get the part. That's the rumor that's going around at the moment. Do we care?
It's not a good idea.
It's just a different character, though, isn't it?
It's not a good. Well, it depends. If they're gonna make her Bonnie Grimm, that's a problem. Now there is an actual separate She-Thing character that is not Ben Grimm that exists in Marvel Comics.
Sharon Ventura.
Yeah, Sharon Ventura. So if they want to include her instead of Ben, I think that'd be also silly, but not as silly as turning Ben Grimm into Bonnie Grimm. Like I have absolutely no problem with inclusion. I'm fairly progressive when it comes to that kind of stuff, but there's also certain things you don't screw with, and the first family of Marvel is one of them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think gender swapping for the sake of gender swapping is necessarily a good idea. Like honestly, don't replace Ben with female Ben.
Yeah.
But if it's the other character, then fine. That's because it's a different character. It's not like you replace Ben with female Ben. You have a female character and you've cast a female for that female character, and that's absolutely fine.
Like I said, that's less of a bad idea. But I mean, just in general, you need to leave the Fantastic Four as Reed, Johnny, Sue, and Ben.
Yeah.
At least for me.
What do you think, Harris?
Well, I honestly don't think it's going to happen, though.
No, after this kind of backlash they've gotten over just the last couple of days online, I definitely don't think it will happen. If they were to do it, I'm with. I don't know what y'all, Matt and Aaron, on this one. I would much prefer to have Ben Grimm. It just makes more sense. But if they were to do it, I would just toss Michael Chiklis in a wig or put a really butchy kind of lady on there for the thing. Why would it be Mila? Why would it be Mila Kunis? Is the first thing, just for like. I mean, if she's relegated to a voice role, the only thing I'm going to be thinking about is Meg.
Sexy. You can't.
No, and if she's just a voice role, all I'm going to be thinking about is Meg of Family Guy as the thing. You know, that's it.
Shut up, Meg.
So. I wish they keep it just normal. There is a she thing. Put she thing in there, of course. But then again, I don't think Mila Kunis is right for that. I don't know how that casting idea ever even happened. Maybe they just toss it online.
Well, it started off as possibly Mila for Sue, and then somehow it morphed into the Sue or the Thing. Now, like they're considering her for both, and I'm like,
it sounds like the creator's just gone. I want somebody Jewish for the Thing character, and I don't care if it's a boy or a girl, as long as it's Jewish. As long as he or she is Jewish.
Well, I mean, Mila's mostly. I mean, obviously she's probably one of the white Jews, as they say, but she's Ukrainian for the most part.
Yeah, she's Russian, isn't she? So, yeah.
Ukrainian, yeah.
But obviously she still could be Jewish. I don't know what her ethnic background is, but I assume she's Jewish, or it wouldn't make sense.
Well, at least in some part, yeah. On her mother's side, it has to be to count. Culturally.
Well, yeah. I don't care about gender swapping, ethnicity swapping, and things like this, generally speaking, because we're talking about fictional characters. And in Marvel, in particular, there's so much material there. They've done every version of every character. We've got how many Captain Americas have we had? We've had 2 or 3 female Captain Americas, 2 or 3 different male. We've had black ones. They've done every version of everything in the comics.
There's a whole Captain Britain council.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't bother me. The people go, "Well, it's woke." That's canon. No, in Marvel, they've got canon for everything. So it's like, no bother. My life problem is that I'm kind of with you guys. I think it'll be stupid. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's. I think at the end of the day, look, She-Hulk was a steaming pile of crap. Not because of She-Hulk. I actually thought the actress was brilliant. I thought that her character was great. It was very badly written, but the worst crime is actually when you watch the last episode, you realize you've just watched 8 hours that are completely irrelevant because it didn't go anywhere. So it was stupid, but it wasn't stupid. I actually would love to see She-Hulk in other stuff. I'm angry that the show was bad. If they do it right, I have no confidence in Marvel at the moment to do anything right. I honestly think they've really lost their way at the moment, and they need to.
Fantastic Four is one of the ones they just hired one of the big name writers for, so that's another reason I kind of doubt that there's too much veracity to the Mila Kunis as the Thing.
Is it still Shackman directing, Aaron?
I believe so.
Okay.
Last time I heard it still was, yeah. But Blade for me is a good example of this as well. That they need to bring. That Blade needs to be street level. They need to be a Spider-Man type style thing. If they cannot do a big
Spider-Man 4 is supposed to be pretty street level.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be super awesome. Obviously, they're going more street level on Disney Plus with Daredevil. They're bringing Daredevil Born Again.
It'd be better.
And they're bringing Frank Castle into that. They've already confirmed Bernthal's coming back as Punisher for that.
That's good.
They're saying that is actually going to be R-rated, or they're not going to make it a 12A, which I think is important. Yep. It's the best bits of Daredevil when he was, putting someone's head through something.
What was that next movie that's supposed to be R-rated other than Deadpool that just hit the news?
Wasn't it Blade?
Yeah, I think Blade is R-rated. Deadpool 3 is going to be R-rated.
Is the biggest. Sorry, just last question, then we really do have to wrap it up. But is Marvel's biggest problem that there's just been too much Marvel. That they've been overshot. They're trying to do too much.
There's been too much bad Marvel. I have mid comic book product fatigue. If it was all slapping the way it should have been, yes, John Bernthal, Carrie. If it had been slapping the way it all should, there would be no fatigue. But the problem is the writing has been crap. They're utilizing characters completely wrong. They're writing them super shallow. The stories just go all over the place. And again, there's also all the behind the scenes crap with Feige basically taking Phase 4 off, probably to concentrate on Phase 5 and 6, I would assume, and just letting his creatives do whatever the hell they want. And we saw how that went, which is why they're hiring writers and why he has already gone into a couple different writers' rooms and like, no, because the Thunderbolts has been completely redone because of him. He walked into that writer's room like, nope, small idea. We're going Red Hulk. We're going, Sentry, all that good stuff.
With Harrison Ford.
Yes, Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. That is going to be so sweet. But Marvel is making obvious moves to right the ship. If you're looking, I don't outside of Ahsoka and Dave's movie and the Dawn of the Jedi movie, I don't see Star Wars making any kind of moves to become more of a 4-quarter product the way it used to be.
Marvel 5 years ago, Blade would be in our cinemas probably this summer. But I think you're right. They have realized we're going the wrong way here. We need to drag this back. We need the right people. We need the right writers. Let's not do it if it's not right.
I think they're on either their third writer for Blade or they brought this dude in to co-write with the dude they brought in.
He's doing a rewrite. He's not doing a total re-script. He's just fixing it basically.
But regardless though, they got a big name. They brought in a big name for that. And they got the dude for Beef for Thunderbolts.
Yeah, big names. So, all right, guys, look, we've gone over an hour and a half, which we haven't done on a live stream in ages. Anyway, you guys, but I'm hungry. It's not your fault, Aaron. It's Matt's fault, probably.
I blather.
Matt, everything's your fault, mate. But we love you for it. So let's call it an evening because I'm really hungry and I might need a week.
I am as well. My kids have just been out and they've had McDonald's and I'm proper jealous.
You're just
takeaway last night.
Go to McDonald's.
You got those.
I had a takeaway last night. And I went to the pub on Friday. I can't order another takeaway.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm going to Chinese and I really shouldn't. But guys, it's been amazing, really good, interesting conversation. And most of it I didn't understand, but I'll watch it back and I'll Google and I'll try to catch up. And,
there were moments where my eyes totally glazed over, especially when Harris and Aaron were talking about Star Warsy stuff.
I'm sorry to think about Star Trek for a bit just to try and no, I didn't. No,
I'm trying to like
really fascinating. Next week we're playing a game of fantasy streaming channel executives. So we are taking it as Harris, what did you want to pick? Matt's got Netflix.
Are we just doing the top 3 or what?
Just the top 3. So you've got Amazon or Disney. Who do you want?
I know you want Amazon. Take it. I got Disney. I got Disney.
So I am the new chief executive of Amazon Prime. Matthew is the new chief executive of Netflix, and Harris is the new chief executive of Disney Plus.
My first order of business: you are allowed to share your passwords again.
Yeah, right, baby. Actually, to be fair, do that as well. And my first order of business, I'm going to get rid of all of these sub channels that cost £5 each. We're just going to have one. Everything's going to be absorbed. Actually, remember that. Just completely fantasy. You're in charge. What you want to do, and that's our video next week, guys. So we'll have a bit of a giggle with that.
It's not going to be an N when it pops up. It's going to be an M.
And the thing is that as well, we're going to fix this stuff. So all the streamers channels are struggling. We've sorted Stargate out for them. Now we're just going to sort everything else out. So just a bit of fun. And I want to go to running pool and how many times Stargate gets mentioned in that episode, because I think it's going to be quite a lot. So, but guys, thank you so much. Aaron, really, really appreciate you attending. Harris,
I appreciate you letting me attend.
Yeah, well, you're very welcome. You
can come back whenever you want. You're super interesting.
Oh, thank you.
You have lots to say.
Star Wars too.
You have lots to say. And it's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing. Really good. The live video we did on your channel was brilliant as well. Really enjoyed it.
Honestly, you lasted like way longer than I thought you were gonna for like your time when we started.
That's not my wife.
I thought you were going to be good for maybe like an hour. You ended up going a little bit over an hour and a half with me, which was
it as good for you as it was for me?
Rate me out of 10. No, let's not do that. Harris, again, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it every week.
Always. Y'all go support Jay.
Go to sidetrek.com, side-trek.com, and buy your sleeping giant buy your t-shirts and your hats and all that sort of thing. Because it helps me and the wife. And my wife loves this channel now. She used to moan, but as soon as I bought her a nice pair of shoes, god damn it, she likes this channel.
Just turned.
Oh yes, I got her on board. She actually says, "Are you going to work this evening?" And she means this. It's great. But anyway, thank you so much.
To the light side.
We'll see you all really soon.
Bye.
See y'all.
Bye. Peace. Love.